Troy Allen here from Military Mortgage Bootcamp. In today's Realtor Recon video, I'm going to dispel the myth that VA loans are harder to get through underwriting than conventional loans. The first concept I need you to understand today is the concept of lender overlays. Lender overlays are additional guidelines that lenders put on top of the VA 26-7. The VA 26-7, I remind you, is the Veterans Administration's lending guidelines that all banks and lenders must adhere to. What that means is a loan could pass the VA standards, but because the individual lender or bank has put more rules and guidelines on top of that, that loan may not pass their standards. It's why one bank you could go to, they won't do a loan, but you could go down the street and they may. The best illustration of a lender overlay that I can use is credit score. The VA 26-7 does not have a credit score requirement. Credit score requirement is an individual bank overlay. Some banks, they may not lend on a credit score lower than 640. Some may not lend on a credit score lower than 620. There's some even out there that won't lend lower than 580. But that's the best illustration I can give you of lender overlay. Now looking at this chart, comparing FHA conventional and VA, you can see that the FHA loan by far has the most lender overlays. Next you've got the conventional, not quite as many, but still there's a fair bit. And then you have the VA loan down here, which between the three has by far the least amount of lender overlays. Now here's a little secret, and you didn't hear it from me, but some of those lenders out there that might be veteran friendly or maybe militarily affiliated, they oftentimes have the most overlays when it comes to VA guidelines. A couple quotes for you. First quote, taken directly from the VA 26-7. Underwriters are encouraged to consider every possible appropriate factor in seeking a proper basis for approving loan applications for every qualified veteran. Translation to underwriters, figure out a way to get it done. Figure out a way to get it done? Not so much. Second quote is from the late Bill White, Deputy Director of the Veterans Administration in 1944. As long as lenders document their reasoning, it is extremely unlikely VA staff would ever take issue with their reasoning. Again, VA staff, they're actually veterans. And before you point out that it was 1944, the VA guidelines haven't really changed all that much. So, this myth, the VA loans are hard to get through underwriting, I'm going to have to dispel that myth and call it busted. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time on Realtor Recon.